Hello, my name is Nathan Flores. I am 28 years old. I work as a freelance photographer, mostly shooting weddings and local events around Portland. I live in a small apartment near Hawthorne Boulevard with my roommate Richard Brown, who I met in college 5 years ago. Richard is studying to become a nurse and works part-time at a local coffee shop. We get along well enough, though our schedules rarely overlap these days. I am standing at our apartment door at 7:30 in the morning, camera bag slung over my shoulder, trying to leave quietly for what might be the most important shoot of my career. My hand is already on the doorknob when I hear her voice behind me. Leaving without saying goodbye again, she says softly. I freeze. Julie Martin is standing in the hallway behind me wearing an oversized sweater and holding a steaming mug of coffee. Her dark hair falls in gentle waves around her shoulders, and her eyes hold that familiar mix of amusement and something deeper that I have been trying not to think about for months. Julie is Richard's older sister. She moved in with us 6 weeks ago after her divorce was finalized. She needed a place to stay while she figured out her next steps, and Richard offered our couch without hesitation. What was supposed to be a temporary arrangement has stretched on, and honestly, I do not mind. Not at all. I turn around slowly, feeling heat creep up my neck. Good morning, Julie. I was trying not to wake anyone up. She takes a sip of her coffee and studies me with those perceptive green eyes. You have been doing that a lot lately, sneaking out before anyone is awake. Are we that terrible to live with? The question hangs in the air between us. I know she is teasing, but there is something else in her voice, something that makes my chest tighten. Before we see how this ends, tell us where you are watching from and hype this video in the comments. I could really use the support right now. The truth is, I have been avoiding Julie Martin for 3 weeks now, not because I do not like her company, but because I like it too much. Because every morning when I see her curled up on our couch reading a book or making breakfast in our tiny kitchen, I feel something I have no right to feel. Because she is my roommate's sister and she is going through a divorce and she needs stability right now, not some photographer with a crush developing feelings he should not have. No, I say finally, you are not terrible at all. I just have an early shoot today. She nods, but I can see she does not entirely believe me. Where are you headed? Mount Hood. Engagement photos for a couple who want sunrise shots at Trillium Lake. Her face lights up. That sounds beautiful. I have always wanted to see that lake. The words slip out before I can stop them. You should come with me. The moment I say it, I want to take it back. What am I thinking inviting my roommate's recently divorced sister on a romantic photo shoot? But Julie's expression shifts to something I cannot quite read. Really, she asks. I mean, if you want to. It is a long drive, though. We would have to leave now to catch the sunrise, and we would not be back until late afternoon. She is quiet for a long moment, considering. Then she says, let me grab my jacket. 20 minutes later, we are driving east on Highway 26 in my beat-up Honda Civic. Julie sits in the passenger seat with a travel mug of coffee and a small backpack at her feet. She changed into hiking boots and a forest green jacket that brings out her eyes. I try to focus on the road instead of how the morning light catches in her hair. Tell me about these clients, she says as we pass through Gresham. David and Sarah, they have been together for 4 years. He proposed last month at the same spot where they had their first date. They want photos that capture the feeling of new beginnings. That is sweet, Julie says quietly. I can hear something wistful in her voice. I glance over at her. Are you okay? I should have thought before inviting you. This might not be the best setting for you right now. She turns to look at me fully. Nathan, my marriage ended because we grew apart, because we stopped seeing each other, really seeing each other. It was not dramatic or painful at the end, just sad and empty. Being around people who are genuinely happy together does not hurt me. It gives me hope. Her honesty catches me off guard. I have spent weeks tiptoeing around the subject of her divorce, afraid of saying the wrong thing. But here she is, speaking about it with a clarity that makes me admire her even more. What happened? I ask gently, if you do not mind me asking. She is quiet for a few miles, watching the forest roll past outside her window. Then she says, we met in college. Got married right after graduation because it seemed like the next logical step. We both had good jobs, bought a house in the suburbs, did everything we thought we were supposed to do. But somewhere along the way, we forgot to actually build a life together. We were like roommates who shared a mortgage. That must have been lonely, I say. It was. But you know what the strangest part is? I feel less lonely now, sleeping on your couch and eating cereal for dinner, than I did for the last 2 years of my marriage. We drive in comfortable silence for a while after that. The highway climbs steadily into the Cascade Mountains, and the air grows cooler. Pine trees tower on both sides of the road, and I can see patches of snow on the higher peaks despite it being late September. What about you? Julie asks eventually. Have you ever been married? No, I came close once, about 3 years ago. Her name was Amanda. She was a graphic designer, really talented. We dated for 2 years. What happened? She wanted stability, a house, kids, the whole traditional package. And I wanted that too, in theory. But I also wanted to travel for my photography, to take risks with my career. She saw those dreams as incompatible with the life she envisioned. Julie nods thoughtfully. It sounds like you both knew what you wanted. You were just wanting different things. Exactly. It was not anyone's fault, really. Just bad timing or bad matching. The conversation flows easily between us for the rest of the drive. We talk about books we have read recently, places we want to travel, childhood memories. Julie tells me about her job as a social worker, how she helps families navigate the foster care system. Her passion for her work is evident in the way her voice changes when she talks about it. I tell her about my photography, how I got started shooting my friends' bands in college and gradually built up a client base. How I dream of doing more artistic work, maybe having a gallery show someday, but how wedding photography pays the bills. You should do both, she says as we pull into the parking area at Trillium Lake. There is no rule that says you can only do one thing. The lake is everything I hoped it would be. The water is perfectly still, creating a mirror image of Mount Hood's snow-covered peak. The morning mist is just beginning to lift, and the light has that golden quality that photographers dream about. David and Sarah are already there, standing close together near the water's edge, looking nervous and excited. Julie stays back while I introduce myself to the couple and start setting up my equipment. But I notice David and Sarah both glance over at her curiously. She has found a spot on a fallen log about 20 feet away and is reading a paperback book, looking completely at ease in the wilderness setting. Is that your girlfriend? Sarah asks quietly as I adjust my camera settings. No, she is my roommate's sister. She just came along for the drive. Sarah exchanges a look with David. She is beautiful. Yes, she is, I say without thinking. Then I clear my throat and focus on my camera. Okay, let us start with some natural poses. Just walk along the shoreline together like you normally would. For the next hour, I lose myself in the work. David and Sarah are naturals in front of the camera, genuinely affectionate and comfortable with each other. The light is perfect, and Mount Hood provides a majestic backdrop. I capture them laughing, embracing, walking hand in hand, gazing into each other's eyes. But I find myself occasionally glancing over at Julie. She has put her book away and is watching the photo shoot with quiet interest. Sometimes she catches my eye and smiles, and I feel that familiar flutter in my chest that I have been trying to ignore. During a break while David and Sarah warm up with coffee from their thermos, Julie approaches me. They are lovely together, she says. They really are. This is why I love shooting engagements. You can see the hope in their faces. She looks out over the lake, where the mist has completely cleared now, and the water sparkles in the late morning sun. I can see why you became a photographer. You notice things other people miss. Like what? Like how Sarah touches David's arm when she laughs. How he looks at her when she is not paying attention. The way they unconsciously mirror each other's movements. I stare at her, surprised by her observation. You see all that too. I work with families all day. You learn to read body language, to see what people are not saying out loud. We stand there for a moment, watching David and Sarah share their coffee and point out birds to each other across the lake. There is something peaceful about being here with Julie, something that feels right in a way I have not experienced before. Nathan, she says quietly, can I ask you something? Of course. Why have you been avoiding me? My stomach drops. I was hoping she had not noticed, or that she would not call me on it directly. But Julie has always been direct. One of the things I admire about her. I have not been avoiding you, I say, but even I can hear how unconvincing it sounds. She gives me a look that says she is not buying it. You leave before I wake up. You come home after I have gone to bed. When we are in the same room, you barely make eye contact. If I did not know better, I would think you do not like me very much. The hurt in her voice makes my chest ache. That is not it at all. Then what is it? I take a deep breath, knowing I am about to cross a line I cannot uncross. Because I like you too much. Because every time I see you, I want to stay and talk to you instead of going to work. Because you are Richard's sister and you are going through a divorce, and the last thing you need is some guy developing feelings for you. The words hang between us like morning mist over the lake. Julie stares at me, her green eyes wide with surprise. For a moment, I think I have ruined everything, that I should have kept my mouth shut and continued sneaking out at dawn. But then she says, "You think I do not want someone developing feelings for me? I do not know what you want. I just know it is probably not this, not now." She is quiet for a long moment, looking out over the water. Then she says, "My marriage taught me a lot about what I do not want, but it also taught me what I do want." What is that? Someone who sees me, really sees me. Someone who notices the small things. Someone who makes me feel like myself again instead of like I am playing a role I never auditioned for. She turns to look at me directly. Someone who invites me on spontaneous trips to beautiful places because he thinks I might enjoy them. My heart is beating so hard I am sure she can hear it. Julie. Yes, I have been thinking about you constantly for weeks. I know the timing is terrible and the situation is complicated, but I needed you to know that. Before she can respond, David calls out that they are ready to continue shooting. I force myself to focus on my work for the next hour, capturing more intimate moments between the couple as the light shifts from golden to bright white. But I am acutely aware of Julie's presence, of the conversation we just had, of the way everything between us has shifted. When I finish the shoot and pack up my equipment, David and Sarah thank me enthusiastically and promise to recommend me to their friends. They drive away, leaving Julie and me alone by the lake. "Are you hungry?" I ask. "There is a diner in government camp that makes amazing huckleberry pancakes." "That sounds perfect," she says. We drive the short distance to the small mountain town and find a parking spot outside Huckleberry Inn. The diner is exactly what you would expect from a mountain town restaurant, with knotty pine walls covered in vintage ski equipment and local photographs. We slide into a booth by the window that offers a view of the ski slopes on Mount Hood. The waitress brings us coffee and menus, and we order the pancakes along with scrambled eggs and bacon. The food arrives quickly, steaming and delicious. We eat in comfortable silence for a few minutes, both of us processing the conversation we had by the lake. "Can I tell you something?" Julie says eventually. "Always. When I first moved in with you and Richard, I thought you did not like me. You were polite but distant. I figured you were just being nice because, I am Richard's sister. I almost choke on my coffee. Are you serious?" "Completely. I thought maybe you were annoyed about having your space invaded by some random woman going through a divorce. Julie, I was attracted to you from the moment you walked into our apartment. I was distant because I was trying to be respectful, not because I did not like you." She smiles and it transforms her whole face. "So we have both been completely misreading this situation." "Apparently so." She reaches across the table and touches my hand briefly. "I'm glad you told me how you feel. I was starting to think I was imagining the connection between us." "You were not imagining it. Good. Because I have been thinking about you too. More than I probably should." The admission sends warmth spreading through my chest. We finish our breakfast and decide to take a walk around government camp before heading home. The town is small enough to cover in 30 minutes, but we stretch it out, stopping to look in the windows of ski shops and art galleries, talking about everything and nothing. There is a lightness between us now that was not there before. The tension of unspoken feelings has been replaced by something easier, more natural. We joke about the tourists in their brand new hiking gear and debate whether the vintage skis in one shop window are actually from the 1970s or just made to look that way. When we finally get back to the car for the drive home, Julie asks if she can connect her phone to the stereo. She puts on a playlist of indie folk music that perfectly matches the mood of the afternoon. We sing along to songs we both know and laugh at my terrible attempt to harmonize. The drive passes quickly, filled with easy conversation and comfortable silences. As we get closer to Portland, though, I start to feel nervous again. What happens when we get home? How do we navigate this new dynamic with Richard around? What if we are making a mistake? "You are overthinking this," Julie says, as if she can read my thoughts. "Probably. I tend to do that. What are you worried about?" Richard, the fact that you are going through a divorce, the fact that we live together. Take your pick. She is quiet for a moment, watching the city skyline come into view. Nathan, I do not expect anything from you. I do not need you to solve my problems or fix my life. I am perfectly capable of doing that myself. But I would like to get to know you better. As more than just my brother's roommate, I glance over at her. What does that look like? I do not know yet. Maybe we start with dinner. A real dinner, not cereal eaten standing up in the kitchen while we make small talk about the weather. That sounds nice. And maybe you stop sneaking out at dawn to avoid me. I laugh. Deal. Though I do have to leave early sometimes for work. I understand. Just say goodbye next time. We pull into our neighborhood as the sun is beginning to set. The familiar streets look different somehow, like I am seeing them through new eyes. When I park in front of our building, neither of us moves to get out immediately. Thank you for today, Julie says. I had not realized how much I needed to get out of the city. Thank you for coming with me. The day was better because you were there. She smiles and leans over to kiss my cheek softly. The gesture is simple, friendly, but it sends electricity through my entire body. See you inside, she says, then gets out of the car. I sit there for a moment after she goes into the building, trying to process everything that has happened. This morning I was sneaking out to avoid her. Now we have acknowledged our mutual attraction and made plans to explore whatever this is between us. The shift feels seismic and terrifying and wonderful all at once. When I finally go inside, I find Richard in the kitchen making dinner. He looks up as I enter, taking in my slightly dazed expression. How did the shoot go? He asks. Really well. Great light, great couple. I think they will be happy with the photos. Cool. Julie said she went with you to Mount Hood. That was nice of you to invite her. I study his face for any sign that he suspects something has changed between his sister and me, but he seems genuinely pleased that we spent time together. She was great company, I say carefully. Good. She has been pretty isolated since the divorce. I worry about her sometimes. Richard serves up 2 plates of pasta, and we sit down at our small dining table. He tells me about his shift at the coffee shop, how a customer complained that her latte was not hot enough even though steam was visibly rising from it. I tell him about the engagement shoot, leaving out the personal revelations that happened between Julie and me. Where is Julie? I asked, trying to sound casual. She said she was going to take a bath and then call our mom. They talk every Sunday evening. We finish dinner and Richard heads to his room to study for an exam. I clean up the kitchen, then settle on the couch with my laptop to start editing the photos from today. The images are even better than I hoped. David and Sarah's joy is evident in every shot, and Mount Hood provides a stunning backdrop. I am so absorbed in my work that I do not notice Julie emerge from the bathroom until she speaks. Those are beautiful, she says softly. I look up to see her standing behind the couch wearing pajama pants and an oversized t-shirt, her hair damp from the bath. She smells like lavender soap. Thanks. I think David and Sarah will be happy. She comes around to sit beside me on the couch, close enough that I can feel the warmth of her body. Can you show me more? I click through the images slowly, explaining my choices about composition and lighting. Julie asks thoughtful questions about my process, and I find myself opening up about the artistic side of my work in a way I rarely do with clients. You have a real gift for this, she says when I finish showing her the photos. These are not just documentation. They are art. Thank you. That means a lot coming from you. Why? Because you see people clearly. Your opinion matters to me. We sit in comfortable silence for a moment, both of us staring at the laptop screen. Then Julie says, Richard told me about your gallery show idea. He did. He said you have been working on a personal project. Portraits of people in their everyday environments. I nod. I have been photographing people at their choose in their homes, doing the things they love, trying to capture something authentic about who they are when they think no one is watching. That sounds amazing. Can I see some of them? I hesitate. The personal work feels more vulnerable than the wedding photos, more revealing of who I am as an artist. But something about Julie's genuine interest makes me want to share it with her. I open a different folder on my laptop and start showing her the portraits. There is Maria, the baker who starts work at 4 a.m. There is Tom, the mechanic who restores vintage motorcycles in his garage. There is Elena, the librarian who reads to children every Saturday morning. These are incredible, Julie says. her voice filled with wonder. You capture something essential about each person. That is exactly what I am trying to do. Have you thought about where you want to show them? I have been researching galleries, but most of them want established artists. It is hard to get your foot in the door. What about alternative spaces? Coffee shops, community centers, libraries? I had not really considered that. Elena might be interested in having them at the library. Art that celebrates working people would fit perfectly with their mission. The idea excites me more than I expected. I have been so focused on traditional gallery spaces that I had not considered other venues. Julie is right, these portraits would work beautifully in a community setting. You really think Elena would be interested, I ask? I do not know Elena personally, but I know librarians. They love supporting local artists, especially work that connects with their community. We talk about the logistics of organizing a show, how many pieces I would need, how to handle framing and pricing. Julie's enthusiasm is infectious, and I find myself getting excited about possibilities I had not considered before. You should ask her, Julie says, what is the worst that could happen? She could say no, and then you would be exactly where you are now, but she might say yes. It is such simple logic, but somehow hearing it from Julie makes it feel possible in a way it did not before. I will think about it, I say. Good. You are too talented to keep hiding your work. The compliment makes me feel warm all over. We are sitting closer now, our knees almost touching. I can see the flecks of gold in her green eyes, the way her hair curls slightly at the ends where it is still damp. Julie, I say quietly. Yes, I am really glad you came with me today. Me too. There is a moment where I think we might kiss. The air between us feels charged with possibility. But then we hear Richard's bedroom door open, and we both lean back slightly, creating more space between us. Richard appears in the hallway looking tired. I am going to bed, early shift tomorrow. Good night, we both say. After he disappears into the bathroom, Julie and I look at each other and smile. I should probably get some sleep too, she says, but she does not move to get up. Probably, I agree, also not moving. We sit there for another few minutes, neither of us wanting to break the spell of the evening. Finally, Julie yawns and stretches. Okay, I really do need to go to bed. Thank you for today, Nathan. All of it. Thank you for coming with me. And for the gallery idea. I think you might be right about Elena. She stands up and leans down to kiss my cheek again, lingering a moment longer than she did in the car. Good night, Julie. I watch her walk down the hallway to the living room, where her makeshift bed is set up on the couch. Then I close my laptop and head to my own room, my mind racing with everything that has happened today. I lie in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying conversations and moments from the day. For weeks, I have been telling myself that my feelings for Julie were inappropriate, that I should keep my distance for everyone's sake. But today has shown me that she feels something too, that whatever this is between us might be worth exploring. I think about what she said about her marriage, how she and her ex-husband grew apart because they stopped really seeing each other. Maybe what I feel with Julie is different because it is based on genuine connection rather than expectation or convenience. I must eventually fall asleep, because the next thing I know, my alarm is going off at 6:30 in the morning. I have a wedding to shoot in 2 hours, and I need to get my equipment ready and grab breakfast before I leave. When I emerge from my room, I expect to find the apartment quiet and empty like usual. But Julie is in the kitchen, fully dressed, making coffee and toast. Good morning, she says with a smile. I thought you might want breakfast before your wedding. You did not have to do that. I wanted to. Besides, I am an early riser anyway. She hands me a cup of coffee made exactly the way I like it, with just a splash of milk. The gesture is small but thoughtful, and it makes my chest feel tight with affection. Thank you, I say. This is perfect. We eat breakfast together, talking quietly so we do not wake Richard. It feels domestic and natural, like something we have been doing for years instead of one morning. When I finish eating and start gathering my camera equipment, Julie walks me to the door. Have a good day, she says. I will see you when you get home. The promise in those words, the assumption that we will continue this conversation, makes me smile. I will see you tonight, I say and lean down to kiss her cheek. But she turns her head slightly, and our lips brush instead. It is brief, barely more than a touch, but it sends electricity through my entire body. We both freeze for a moment, surprised by the contact. Sorry, Julie says quietly, though she does not look sorry at all. Do not apologize, I say. I'm definitely not sorry. She smiles, a real smile that lights up her whole face. Go to work, Nathan. We will talk tonight. I drive to the wedding venue in a daze, my lips still tingling from that brief contact. The wedding is at a historic mansion in the West Hills, and I spend the day capturing moments of joy and celebration. The bride and groom are clearly in love. Their families are supportive and kind, and everything goes smoothly. But throughout the day, I find myself thinking about Julie, about the way she looked this morning in the kitchen, how natural it felt to have breakfast together, the promise of seeing her tonight. I catch myself smiling during quiet moments, and the bride's mother comments on how happy I seem. You must love your job, she says as I photograph the father-daughter dance. I do, I say, but I think I am just having a really good weekend. The reception ends at 10:30, and I spend another hour packing up my equipment and saying goodbye to the couple. By the time I get home, it is nearly midnight. I expect to find the apartment dark and quiet, but there is a soft light coming from the living room. Julie is curled up on the couch reading, wearing the same pajamas from last night. She looks up when I come in, closing her book and setting it aside. How was the wedding, she asks. Beautiful. Long day, but everything went perfectly. I am glad. Are you hungry? I made extra dinner and saved you a plate. The thoughtfulness of the gesture catches me off guard. I am starving, actually. I was too nervous to eat much at the reception. She heats up a plate of chicken and rice while I wash my hands and change out of my dress shirt. When I come back to the kitchen, she has set a place for me at the table and is sitting across from it with a cup of tea. You do not have to keep me company, I say. I know it is late. I want to. I have been thinking about you all day. The admission is simple and honest, and it makes my heart race. I have been thinking about you too. We talk quietly while I eat, sharing details about our days. Julie spent the afternoon apartment hunting online and made some phone calls about places she might be able to afford on her social worker's salary. The reminder that she is looking for her own place creates a strange mix of emotions in me. Any luck with the search? I ask. A few possibilities. There is a one-bedroom in Southeast that looks promising. I'm going to see it tomorrow afternoon. That is great, I say, trying to sound enthusiastic. She studies my face. You do not sound like you think it is great. I do. I want you to find a place you love. It is just what? I am going to miss having you here. She reaches across the table and takes my hand. Nathan, just because I get my own place does not mean we stop seeing each other. If anything, it might make things easier. How so? Less complicated. No more worrying about Richard or sneaking around. We could have actual dates instead of stolen moments in the kitchen. The word dates sends a thrill through me. Is that what we are doing? Dating? I do not know. What do you want to be doing? I want to take you to dinner somewhere nice. I want to show you more of my photography. I want to learn everything about you. I want to kiss you properly instead of accidentally in doorways. She laughs, a sound that fills the quiet kitchen with warmth. That sounds like dating to me. What about Richard? What about the fact that you just got divorced? Richard wants me to be happy. He likes you. And as for the divorce, it has been over emotionally for more than a year. The paperwork was just a formality. We sit there holding hands across the table, and I feel like we are making some kind of decision without saying it explicitly. Moving from whatever we were before to whatever we might become. I should let you get some sleep, I say eventually, though I do not want this moment to end. Probably. But first, can I ask you something? Of course. Will you show me more of your personal work sometime? Not just the portraits, but whatever you are passionate about photographing. I would love that. Are you free Tuesday evening? It is a date. She stands up and comes around the table to where I am sitting. This time, when she leans down to kiss me, there is nothing accidental about it. Her lips are soft and warm, and the kiss is gentle but unmistakably intentional. When we break apart, we are both smiling. Good night, Nathan. Good night, Julie. I watch her walk to the living room, then clean up my dinner dishes and head to my own room. As I get ready for bed, I can hear her moving around quietly, getting settled on the couch. The sounds are domestic and comforting, and I find myself hoping that even after she finds her own place, there will still be nights like this. Tuesday evening arrives faster than I expected. I spend the day editing photos from the weekend's wedding, but I find it hard to concentrate. I keep thinking about my plans with Julie, wondering what I should show her first, how much of my artistic vision I am ready to share. Richard has a study group that will keep him out until late, so Julie and I have the apartment to ourselves. She spent the afternoon looking at the apartment in Southeast and came home excited about the possibilities. It has good light and hardwood floors and is within walking distance of a coffee shop she loves. At 7 o'clock, I set up my laptop on the dining table along with several photo albums and portfolios. Julie emerges from the bathroom wearing a simple blue dress and her hair loose around her shoulders. She looks beautiful, but more than that, she looks like herself. Comfortable and confident and genuinely interested in what I am about to share. This feels very official, she says, looking at my setup. I might have gone a little overboard. I am nervous. Why? Because this work means everything to me. Because your opinion matters. Because I am falling for you and I want you to understand who I am as an artist. The last part slips out before I can stop it. Julie's eyes widen slightly and I feel heat creep up my neck. You are falling for me, she asks quietly. Yes, is that okay? She comes over to where I am standing and puts her hands on either side of my face. More than okay. This time when we kiss, there is nothing hesitant about it. It is deep and certain and full of all the feelings we have been dancing around for weeks. When we finally break apart, we are both breathing hard. Show me your work, she says. I start with the earliest pieces, photographs I took in college when I was first learning to see the world through a camera lens. Black and white images of empty buildings and abandoned lots, experiments with light and shadow that taught me the basics of composition. Julie studies each image carefully, asking questions about my process and what drew me to particular subjects. Her attention is focused and genuine, and I can tell she is really seeing the work, not just being polite. I move through the years chronologically, showing her how my style evolved and my interests shifted. The portraits of working people that she saw the other night, a series on small-town diners across Oregon, landscapes that capture the quiet beauty of the Pacific Northwest. This one is my favorite, I say, showing her a photograph of an elderly man feeding pigeons in a park. I took it 3 years ago in downtown Portland. I was walking to a client meeting and saw him there every morning for a week. Finally, I worked up the courage to ask if I could photograph him. What did he say? He said yes, but only if I would sit and talk with him afterward. His name was Frank. He had been coming to that park every morning for 15 years since his wife died. The pigeons were his companions. Julie touches the edge of the photograph gently. You can see the love in his face, not just for the birds, but for the routine, for having a purpose. Exactly. That is what I try to capture. The moments when people are most themselves. You succeed. These photographs make me feel like I know these people. Her understanding of my work, her ability to see what I am trying to accomplish, means more to me than any professional recognition ever could. Can I show you something I have been working on recently, I ask. Please, From. I open a new folder on my laptop, one that contains only 3 photographs. They are all of Julie, taken secretly over the past few weeks with my phone camera. Julie reading on the couch in the early morning light. Julie laughing at something Richard said over dinner. Julie standing at the kitchen window with a cup of coffee. Nathan, she says softly, I know I should have asked permission. But you looked so beautiful, so natural. I could not help myself. She stares at the images for a long time. In them, she looks relaxed and genuine in a way that is different from how most people appear in photographs. There is no self-consciousness, no posing, just Julie being Julie. I look happy, she says finally. You are happy. At least you seem to be when I see you. I am. For the first time in years, I feel like myself again. She closes the laptop and turns to face me fully. Thank you for showing me your work. All of it. I feel like I understand you better now. What do you understand? That you see beauty in everyday moments. That you care about people, really care about them. That you have a gift for making others feel seen and valued. She pauses, then adds, that you see me the way I want to be seen. How is that? As someone worth knowing. Someone worth photographing. Someone worth falling for. The conversation shifts after that, becoming more personal and intimate. We talk about our childhoods, our families, our dreams for the future. Julie tells me about growing up as the older sister, how she always felt responsible for taking care of everyone else, how that pattern continued into her marriage, where she spent so much energy trying to make her husband happy that she forgot to pay attention to her own needs. I tell her about my parents, who are both accountants and have never quite understood my artistic ambitions. How they love me and support me, but worry that photography is not a stable enough career. Do you doubt yourself now? Julie asks. Less than I used to. Having someone believe in my work the way you do, it makes a difference. We are sitting close together on the couch now, her legs tucked under her, and my arm around her shoulders. The conversation flows easily between serious topics and lighter moments. We discover that we both love old movies and terrible reality television shows, that we both prefer hiking to going to bars. What is your biggest fear? Julie asked during a quiet moment. That I will waste my talent, that I will spend so much time doing safe commercial work that I forget how to create something meaningful. What about you? That I will never learn how to put myself first, that I will always be taking care of everyone else instead of building the life I actually want. What would that life look like? I do not know yet. That is part of the problem. I have spent so many years being who other people needed me to be that I am not sure who I am when I am just myself. You are someone who reads 3 books at once and makes perfect coffee and sees the best in people. You are someone who encourages others to take risks and follow their dreams. You are someone worth falling for. She looks at me with tears in her eyes. How do you do that? What? Make me feel like the person I want to be instead of the person I think I should be. Because that is who you are. You just need to give yourself permission to be her. We kiss again, slowly and tenderly, and I can taste the salt of her tears. When we break apart, she rests her forehead against mine. I got the apartment, she says quietly. When do you move in? Next weekend. The current tenant is moving out Friday, and I can start moving my things Saturday. That is fast. I know. Are you okay with that? I want you to have your own space. I want you to build the life you deserve. But I am going to miss having you here. We will figure it out. This does not change anything between us. If anything, it gives us more freedom to see where this goes. Where do you want it to go? I do not know yet, but I want to find out. We spend the rest of the evening making plans for her move and talking about what our relationship might look like once she has her own place. The conversation is practical, but also hopeful, full of possibilities that neither of us had imagined a few weeks ago. When it gets late, we reluctantly say goodnight. But this time, Julie kisses me at her makeshift bed in the living room, and I kiss her back without worrying about Richard hearing us or what it might mean. We are past the point of pretending this is not happening. The next few days pass in a blur of work and preparation for Julie's move. I have 2 smaller weddings to shoot, and Julie spends her time packing her belongings and coordinating with her new landlord. But we make time for each other too. Coffee together in the mornings before I leave for work. Dinner together in the evenings when our schedules align. Richard seems pleased that his sister and I are getting along so well, though I wonder sometimes if he suspects there is more to it than friendship. If he does not say anything. He is focused on his own life, studying for final exams and planning for his nursing program clinical rotations. Friday evening, the night before Julie's move, we all have dinner together at our favorite Thai restaurant. It feels like a celebration and a farewell at the same time. Richard toasts his sister's new independence, and I toast new beginnings. Julie smiles and says she is grateful for both of them. After dinner, Richard goes to meet friends at a bar, leaving Julie and me alone for what will be our last evening in the apartment together. We walk home slowly, taking the long way through the neighborhood we have both come to love. I'm going to miss this, Julie says as we pass the coffee shop where Richard works. The neighborhood, all of it. Living with you and Richard, having people to come home to, feeling like part of a family again. You will still be part of our family, my family. Just because you are moving out does not mean you are moving away from us. She stops walking and turns to face me. Nathan, what are we doing? What do you mean? This, us. Are we dating? Are we seeing where it goes? Are we falling in love? The directness of the question catches me off guard, but I appreciate it. Julie has always been honest, and she deserves the same from me. I think we are all of those things, I say. I think I am already in love with you, if I am being completely honest. She stares at me for a long moment, her green eyes reflecting the streetlight above us. I think I am in love with you too. The admission hangs in the air between us, simple and true and terrifying. We are standing on a quiet residential street, surrounded by the ordinary sounds of a Friday night in Portland, but it feels like the most important moment of my life. Is that crazy? Julie asks. Is it too fast? Maybe, but it does not feel crazy. It feels like the most natural thing in the world. She steps closer and puts her arms around my neck. I love that you see me clearly. I love that you make me want to be brave. I love that you invited me to Mount Hood, even though you were trying to avoid me. I laugh and pull her closer. I love that you called me out for avoiding you. I love that you encouraged me to contact Elena about the gallery show. I love that you make the best coffee I have ever had. Did you contact Elena? I did. We are meeting next week to discuss a possible show at the library. Julie's face lights up with excitement. Nathan, that is wonderful. I could not have done it without you believing in me. Yes, you could have, but I am glad I got to be part of it. We kiss under the streetlight, and I think about how much has changed since that morning when she caught me trying to sneak out. How a moment of honesty and vulnerability has led to this, to standing on a sidewalk, declaring our love for each other. When we finally make it back to the apartment, we sit on the couch and talk until nearly 3 in the morning. About our hopes for the future, about what we want our relationship to look like, about the practical details of dating when she lives across town instead of across the room. I should get some sleep, Julie says finally. Big day tomorrow. Are you nervous about the move? A little. Excited mostly. It feels like the beginning of something new. It is for both of us. She kisses me goodnight, and this time there is a promise in it. A promise that this is not ending, just changing. That whatever we have built together over these past few weeks is strong enough to survive a change of address. Saturday morning arrives bright and clear. Richard and I help Julie load her belongings into a rented truck, and I am struck by how few possessions she has. A few boxes of books and clothes, some kitchen items, a small television, the physical remnants of a life that she is rebuilding from scratch. The new apartment is everything she hoped it would be. Bright and airy, with large windows and gleaming hardwood floors. It is small but perfectly sized for one person, with a cozy bedroom and a kitchen that opens onto the living room. This is perfect, she says, standing in the middle of the empty living room. It feels like home already. We spend the day helping her unpack and arrange furniture. Richard proves surprisingly good at assembling the bookshelf Julie bought, and I hang pictures and help organize her kitchen. By evening, the apartment looks lived in and welcoming. Richard leaves around 6 to meet his girlfriend for dinner, but I stay to help Julie finish organizing her bedroom. We work mostly in comfortable silence, folding clothes and arranging books, creating order out of the chaos of moving day. When we finish, Julie surveys her new bedroom with satisfaction. The bed is made with fresh sheets, her clothes are hung in the closet, and her favorite books are arranged on the nightstand. Thank you for all your help today, she says. I could not have done this without you and Richard. We were happy to help. How does it feel to have your own space again? Amazing. Scary, right? She sits on the edge of the bed and looks around the room. For the first time in years, this is entirely mine. Every choice, every detail. It is exactly what I want it to be. I sit beside her on the bed, careful to maintain some distance, even though we are alone in her apartment. The shift in our living situation feels significant, and I want to be respectful of the boundaries she might need. What happens now, I ask. Now I figure out how to live alone again, how to make decisions without consulting anyone else, how to be responsible only for myself and us. What happens with us? She turns to look at me directly. I would like to find out, if you want to. I do want to. Very much. Good, because I have been thinking about what you said the other night, about taking me to dinner somewhere nice. I did say that. There is a restaurant I have been wanting to try. Canard. They specialize in French-inspired dishes made with local ingredients. I know the place. It is supposed to be incredible. Would you like to take me there next Friday night? As a proper first date. The formality of the invitation makes me smile. I would love to take you to dinner next Friday night. It is a date then. It is a date. We order pizza for dinner and eat it sitting on her living room floor, surrounded by empty boxes and the satisfaction of a day's work well done. The apartment feels cozy and intimate, and I can already imagine spending many evenings here. But I do not want to get ahead of myself. Julie is just beginning to figure out who she is as an independent person. She needs space to grow and discover herself without the pressure of a serious relationship. Even though I am already in love with her, I want to give her the freedom to choose this, to choose us. I should probably head home, I say when we finish eating. Let you get settled in your first night. You do not have to leave if you do not want to. I want to stay, but I also want to do this right, to give you space to enjoy your new independence. She smiles and I can see that she appreciates the gesture. You are a good man, Nathan Flores. You are an extraordinary woman, Julie Martin. I kiss her goodnight at the door, and this time it feels different. Not like goodbye, but like the beginning of something new. Like the first kiss of a relationship that we are choosing deliberately rather than falling into by accident. The drive home takes me through familiar neighborhoods, but everything looks different now. The coffee shops and bookstores and tree-lined streets that make up my daily landscape feel charged with possibility. Julie is out there somewhere in her new apartment, building a life that she chose for herself. And somehow, miraculously, I get to be part of it. When I get home, Richard is already there, studying at the dining table with textbooks and notes spread around him. How is Julie settling in? He asks without looking up from his work. Good. Happy. The apartment is perfect for her. I'm glad. She deserves to have her own space after everything she's been through. I pour myself a glass of water and sit across from him at the table. Richard, can I ask you something? Sure. How would you feel if Julie and I started dating? He looks up from his textbook, not seeming particularly surprised by the question. Are you asking for my permission or my blessing? I do not know. Both, maybe. He leans back in his chair and studies my face. I've been wondering when one of you was going to bring this up. You knew. I am not blind, Nathan. The way you two look at each other, the way you have been spending time together. Plus, Julie has been happier these past few weeks than I have seen her in years. And you are okay with it. I want my sister to be happy. I want you to be happy. If you make each other happy, then I am more than okay with it. The relief I feel is immediate and overwhelming. I had not realized how much I needed Richard's approval until he gave it. Thank you, I say. That means everything to me. Just promise me you will be good to her. She has been through enough heartbreak. I promise. I care about her too much to hurt her. Good. Now can you help me with these practice questions? I have an exam on Monday and I am completely lost. We spend the next 2 hours reviewing nursing concepts. It feels good to focus on something practical and immediate, to help my friend prepare for his future while processing my own hopes for mine. Later that night, lying in bed in the apartment that feels strangely empty without Julie's presence, I think about the conversation with Richard. His blessing means more to me than I expected. But more than that, his observation that Julie has been happier makes me feel like maybe we are doing something right. I fall asleep thinking about our dinner plans for Friday night, about the conversation we will have over French-inspired cuisine and local wine, about the slow, deliberate process of getting to know each other as two independent people who choose to be together. The week passes quickly, filled with work and anticipation. I edit photos from recent weddings, meet with Elena about the library show, and count down the days until Friday night. Elena is enthusiastic about displaying my portraits, and we set a tentative date for early December. The show will be called Everyday Heroes, celebrating the dignity and beauty of working people in Portland. Julie and I text throughout the week, sharing details about our days and making plans for our date. She sends me a photo of her morning coffee in her new kitchen, and I send her a picture of the sunset from a wedding I am shooting. The communication feels natural and easy. Friday arrives with perfect autumn weather, crisp and clear with golden light. I spend the afternoon preparing for our date, choosing my clothes carefully and making a reservation at Kennard. I am more nervous than I have been for any date in years, which seems ridiculous considering how much time Julie and I have already spent together. But this feels different, official, like we are making a statement about our intentions rather than just enjoying each other's company. I pick Julie up at her apartment at 7 o'clock, and when she opens the door, my breath catches. She is wearing a black dress that I have never seen before, with her hair swept up in small silver earrings that catch the light. She looks beautiful and confident and radiant. You look incredible, I say. Thank you. You clean up pretty well yourself. The restaurant is everything I hoped it would be, intimate and warm, with exposed brick walls and soft lighting. We are seated at a small table by the window, and the server brings us menus and a wine list that features local vineyards. This is perfect, Julie says, looking around the dining room with obvious pleasure. I am glad you like it. I wanted our first official date to be special. Mission accomplished. We order wine and appetizers and settle into the kind of conversation that flows easily between two people who genuinely enjoy each other's company. But there is something different about talking across a restaurant table, something more formal and intentional than our kitchen conversations. How has your first week of independence been? I ask. Wonderful and lonely and empowering, all at the same time. Tell me about the lonely part. It is strange not having anyone to say good morning to, not having built-in dinner companions. I realized how much I relied on you and Richard for social interaction. Do you miss it? Living with us? I miss parts of it. I miss the easy companionship. I miss your coffee. I miss knowing that if I had a bad day, there would be people there who cared. But I love having my own space. I love being able to read until 2 in the morning without worrying about disturbing anyone. I love making every decision for myself. That sounds healthy. It feels healthy. Like I am remembering who I am when I am not trying to be what someone else needs. Our appetizers arrive, and we share them while continuing to talk about her adjustment to living alone and my preparations for the gallery show. The conversation is easy and natural, but I can feel an undercurrent of anticipation. Can I ask you something? Julie says as we finish our main courses. Always. What are you hoping for? From this? From us? I think for a moment, wanting to be honest but not overwhelming. I am hoping to get to know you better, to see if what we feel for each other can grow into something lasting, to build something together that makes both of our lives better. What would that look like? I do not know exactly, but I imagine it would involve a lot of dinners like this one. Lazy Sunday mornings reading the newspaper together, supporting each other's dreams and ambitions, maybe eventually living together again, but this time by choice rather than circumstance. She smiles. That sounds wonderful. But what if I am not ready for something serious? What if I need more time to figure out who I am on my own? Then we take it slow. We enjoy each other's company without pressure or expectations. We let it develop naturally. You would be okay with that. Julie, I have been in love with you for weeks while you were sleeping on my couch and going through a divorce. I can be patient while you figure out what you want. Her eyes fill with tears. How did I get so lucky? I think we both got lucky. We skip dessert and walk slowly back to her apartment, taking the long way through neighborhoods that are just beginning to show their autumn colors. The evening is warm enough that we do not need jackets, and the streets are full of other couples enjoying the perfect weather. Thank you for dinner, Julie says as we reach her building. It was exactly what I needed. What did you need? To feel like myself again. To remember that I can be interesting and attractive and worthy of someone's attention. You are all of those things and more. She unlocks her door and turns to face me. Would you like to come up for coffee? The invitation is simple, but I can hear the question underneath it. How far are we ready to take this? How much of ourselves are we ready to share? I would love to, I say. Her apartment feels different in the evening light, more intimate and personal than it did during the chaos of moving day. She has added small touches throughout the week that make it feel like home. Fresh flowers on the kitchen table, candles on the mantelpiece, photographs of family and friends arranged on the bookshelf. She makes coffee while I look at the photographs, recognizing Richard in several of them, and seeing Julie at different stages of her life. You look happy in these, I say. I was happy, at least in those moments. She brings me coffee and we sit together on her couch, close enough that our knees touch, but not so close that it feels presumptuous. The apartment is quiet except for the sound of traffic on the street below. This is nice, she says, having you here. In my space, it feels right, like I belong here. You do belong here, if you want to. The words hang between us, full of possibility and invitation. I set down my coffee cup and turn to face her fully. Julie, yes, I want to be here. I want to belong here. With you. She sets down her own cup and moves closer to me on the couch. Then stay. We kiss slowly, tenderly, with all the time in the world. There is no urgency, no sense that we need to rush toward anything. Just the simple pleasure of being together in her space, building something that belongs to both of us. When we finally break apart, we are both smiling. This is perfect, she says. It really is. We spend the rest of the evening talking quietly on her couch, sharing stories and dreams and small intimacies that feel like building blocks of something larger. When it gets late, I reluctantly prepare to leave, but Julie walks me to the door with obvious reluctance. I had a wonderful time tonight, she says. So did I. Can I see you again soon? How about tomorrow? I was thinking of going to the farmer's market in the morning. Would you like to come with me? I would love that. She kisses me goodnight, and this time it feels like a promise. A promise of more mornings at farmers markets, more dinners at nice restaurants, more quiet evenings on our couch building something beautiful together. I drive home through the quiet streets of Portland, feeling lighter and happier than I have in years. The city looks different now, full of possibility and promise. Julie is out there in her apartment, building a life that she chose for herself. And somehow, miraculously, I get to be part of it. When I get home, the apartment feels empty but not lonely. Richard is asleep, and I move quietly through the familiar rooms, thinking about how much has changed since that morning when Julie caught me trying to sneak out. How a moment of honesty and vulnerability has led to this, to the beginning of something that feels like it might be everything I have been looking for. I fall asleep thinking about tomorrow, about walking through the farmer's market with Julie, choosing vegetables and flowers together, about the slow, deliberate process of building a relationship based on choice and intention rather than convenience, about the possibility that this might be the beginning of the rest of my life.